Hey guys, it's Tiny Tom Logan back with another video for you, and today we're going to be taking a look at the BeQuiet Light Base 900. Now, the eagle-eyed amongst you that watch my videos regularly will have seen that I have actually been using this for all of my Ryzen 9000 testing. Actually, I tell a fib. It's the X870 testing because I've tested all the motherboards in here. Now what that does mean is I've got a different setup to what I would normally be using in the case reviews, but it does also mean that I've already had 7 different motherboards through this case on rotation while I've been doing the testing. So it has had a very hard life. But that also does mean I can be very honest about the usage and stuff because I have battered it. Now the case itself does come in the black one because I have the FX model with all the RGB fans. It's 213 of your Great British Beer tokens. You need to add £10 extra on, so £223 if you would like the privilege of having the white model. Now there is an awful lot for us to chat about, lots of features, the fact that we can change the orientation, all kinds of stuff. So get yourself comfy and don't forget to wait out for the sweet food treat at the end. So we will start at the top and at the front, but there's no switches or anything over here, but it does give us the opportunity to look at the wraparound RGB strips all the way around the outside of the case. These are fully configurable. You can set them up to work with the fans, without the fans, whatever you want, but you do get a nice BeQuiet logo at the top and at the front. And if I go round to the back of the case and remove the top panel, this is actually a very heavy piece of kit. This meshing is metal, but there are dust filters underneath, although if you're going to be using your case as an exhaust, I'd probably remove these, and thankfully they are removable. But I'd remove these because with the air going up, you're not going to really want it hindered. Now, in the roof panel itself, we have a 360mm radiator fitted. It is removable from the inside because there are screw fittings, but you can fit a 420mm radiator up here as well, which is huge. Moving further down the case, you might be wondering why it looks like it's on the wonk, and it's just because the case is too big to go on my Lazy Susan. But what we do have on the front is a restart switch. Then you have a combined headphone and microphone. Your first of the USB 3s in an A format, and there is a second one up here. Then there is a USB-C as well. You've got your power light, but with the power switch as well, and then the button here basically is for the hubs in the back of the case. But what it does mean is we can change all the fan colors without the use of your motherboard. Really, there isn't an option for the motherboard hookup as well, but it does mean that you can just have it. It's very simplistic. This is going to be great for those of you out there that don't like running RGB software or something like that. But there are many options that you can go through with this to set it up with just a simple flick of a switch. And what you can also see is, because the fans inside are wired up to it, but I also wired up the AIO that I've been using to it as well, so that has been changing colour at the exact same time. Moving round to the back of the case, as I've said, this is huge and it's struggling to stay on my Lazy Susan, but we'll do it that way so it's hanging off the other end rather than over to the left. Mount round the back, it's got a 140mm fan fitted, but you can swap it out for a 140 if you want. You can see the power supply is up here. I'm going to say I wished it was lower down low, and I'll explain that to you when we are on the inside. There is a screw down here so that you can take the bottom panel off, which when you've got it on the other orientation, when you've got it on its back in kind of coffee table mode, this makes more sense. You can have a vertical graphics card mount over here as well if you want, but you do need to have a riser cable for it. It does mean that the graphics card kind of sits over here out the way. I think it would have been better if we had it so that this could have all been turned around so that your graphics card sat more in the middle rather than being pushed right over by the window. Now, round the back, this rear panel is removable, and I will remove it, but one of the things I did want to show you is this. Now this is a little rubber grommet like that, and when we remove the feet off the bottom, which I will show you shortly, this is where they would go. This is so that you can put it into coffee table mode. So to put the case into coffee table mode, we've turned it over as we have done now, but you twist the feet around and then they simply pull off. And then you can put them underneath where I've just shown you on the back panel, and then that means that you've lifted it off and everything underneath can still breathe. And to refit them, you just do that. But as you can see, when we have it this way round, you can still see that you've got the BeQuiet logo here. All of the lighting wraps all the way around to where the other BeQuiet logo is. So it doesn't actually matter where you're going to have it on your desk. You've actually got a couple of opportunities to have the logos lit up and the lighting matching all the way around. I really like it like this, but you do need to remember, if you're going to have this on your desk like this, it's going to take up a lot of real estate. I also think that someone somewhere could make some really strong feet and turn this into an actual coffee table. So if we were to 3D print it with some big legs, you could possibly have the case actually on the floor next to your desk and have it freestanding. And I think that could be a lovely way to go about it. When it comes to fitting the feet, you do just need to get it in the right place. And it's just me being a little, there we go. Once you get the feel for it, you can feel when it wants to turn around. Don't force it. But that is our way of doing it. Oh, it is such a heavy and big case. It's definitely something you're going to want to be careful of when you are moving it around. Now, as you can see, I have the, this is a hard drive mount, 2.5-inch hard drives, and it kind of flaps over. Now, I'd be using this normally to hold cables in. Now, this box here is for the AIO, and effectively it's got a PWM header that comes out and goes onto the motherboard, and then there's an ARGB out that I've plugged into the hubs, because this case does come with two ARGB and fan hubs. There's one down here in the bottom, and you can see that there's a plethora of places that you can put your fans. There's 6 in the bottom, 6 fan headers, 6 ARGB headers, and then straight away we can zoom up and have a look in the top, and there is a further 6 in the roof as well. Now, all of these hubs, the fans will be controlled consistently, and by that I mean if you've got all 140mm fans, and they'll all run the same. But you do need to go careful if you mix and match the sizes, because they're going, your 120s may not actually go to full speed depending on the way that you configure them, because they're all effectively just going to get told to spin at the same rate. But you have all of those. You can obviously, as I've shown you, with all of the fans attached, you can control them all at exactly the same time with that button on the front. A few things. We have a 3.5-inch hard drive dock here at the bottom, but for me personally, the power supply is covering up the CPU backplate up here, which means changing things is a lot more difficult. Now, I know people normally build once, but for me personally, if the power supply was further down, it would give me access to the back of the motherboard tray, and that would be a lot easier for future use. The hard drive cage is quite easy to remove. Your power supply, when there isn't another mount, isn't. So in the design stages, if this was me, I would have asked to have had the power supply closer to the bottom, and then left a way that we could get better access to the back of the board. Now, I do have a lot of cabling in here because of the AIO, but also a thing to remember is this power supply is very long. It's 180, maybe 200 mil, I can't remember exactly, but it isn't a normal 160mm length ATX power supply. So we have lost a lot of space by using this. But it does highlight the fact that there isn't a huge amount of cabling room in the back once everything is in. And it has been not difficult, because I can do it, but trying to get this cage to go on has been a little bit harder. And normally I end up just pushing the back panel on it, kind of holds it into place. So with a lot of cables in, this can get a little frustrating. I am going to say though that there are thumb screws. It is easily removable, and if it does become a problem and you're not putting 2.5-inch hard drives on it, pull it out, remove it. If you do have problems, you're going to need to cable tidy. The reason why I haven't is because I'm trying to use it in multiple ways because of obviously changing motherboards and stuff. So if I cable tidy it so everything's perfect, when I take the motherboard out and I'm pulling the cables through to be able to reattach and things like that, it undoes all the hard work. Now, as I have said, it does come with 4 140mm fans. These ones here are actually intakes, so they're reverse bladed fans. They're BeQuiet fans though. They are very, very quiet. They go up to 1300 RPM, as it says here. They are brilliant. I absolutely love them, which is exactly why they are still here. I have not changed them. I have not messed around. If you're wondering about the AIO in the roof, because it is a 120mm fan, effectively my 140s that are connected to the hub are connected to one fan header on the board. The CPU fan header, which comes out of this, is connected onto the CPU fan board. So the case fans are working independently of the actual CPU fans themselves. Now, we do have a full wraparound on the glass. There is a tint to the black glass with a black border. You can remove the front panel as well if you want. It is available. I'm not just going to yank it out though because I've got the case on wonky donk, but it's just a few screws and you can remove it if you want to get full access. In the bottom of the case, there are 2 thumb screws here and here so that you can remove the a radiator stroke fan mount from the bottom. What this does mean is it's identical in the roof, and you can have a 420mm radiator in the bottom, 420mm radiator in the roof, and that is the config for if you wanted to run 2 420mm radiators. I think you'd struggle to get one in the back just because of sizings and stuff. I don't think it would happen. So you're going to be limited to just having this as 140 intakes, or you could fit a 360 radiator back there if you really wanted to, but then you do need to think about where you're going to be putting reservoirs and stuff like that. Down here, as I zoom you in, there is a graphics card mount. There's a screw in the back. You can move it up and down. You've got plenty of adjustment there. There's another screw here so that you can mess around with lengths and stuff as well. It's a very well designed and relatively stealthy option, which makes a really nice change that they've not tried to kind of go too overboard with it. Down at the bottom you can see the grommets. I really like the way BeQuiet are doing their grommets, because it does hide a lot of sins along the back of the board, but you do have 2 down the side of the motherboard tray as well. As you can see, I've got my 24 pin coming through this one, and there's another one here where the graphics card one comes through. But overall, there's an absolute cavern of room there. That is a 4090 Founders Edition in there, and you can see it's not even coming out into the fan area, so you can get some huge graphics cards in here. You do remember you can flip it over and have a vertical if you want. If I'm honest, I would be buying one of the verticals that you fit into the normal expansion slots in the back, which will push your graphics card slightly further in towards the motherboard, and it will just help with airflow and it won't be sat too close to the actual glass itself. Now, as I've said, I've been using this as the test rig for my X870 motherboard review, so it's had a lot of abuse. Lots of motherboards going in there, lots of changes. Obviously we've had a lot of changes because of GISA updates and all of that sort of stuff, and CCX latency things, so it's had a hard life. I'm going to say it is the toughest and best built BeQuiet case I've ever tested, reviewed, and I had one of the, I forget the name of it, but I had one in my old AMD test rig. This just hasn't bent, broken, anything snap at all. It's a little bit more cumbersome to move around for someone that needs to use it in that way, which is not the way that you're really going to be using it at home. But if it survives the way that I'm going to use it, the occasional times that you at home need to move to clean your room, move your room around, that sort of thing, it's going to last you. Whereas the other one, we always felt a little bit, you needed to go careful with it. I didn't actually break it, but there was times when I thought I was going to. This one, no problems like that. You've obviously got the layout things as well. Now, the testing that I've done with this, with the temperatures and stuff that I'll pop up, it's just the temperatures that we got from the CPUs during testing. Now, normally when I test on test rigs, I have the fans for the AIO wound up to max. I have the case fans wound up to max because I'm always trying to push the envelope with stuff. And with this, I actually didn't need to. I did use the 8mm offset for the AIO, but which kind of moves it down near the CCXs a little bit more. But temperatures were always around the 70 mark for a 9900X. And the fact that the fans in the case never really span up or anything, and I didn't have any issues, I didn't feel the need to manually set a fan profile or go absolutely crazy with fan speeds to keep the temperatures down. And I think that's a testament for the airflow and just the overall quality of the case. If I'm honest, if I was going to be building this for me, I would have put the intake fans from the side over here, or maybe add another set over here, because I would personally have gone bottom up with my airflow anyway. And if I was building it for me on my desk, I'd definitely have a vertical graphics card in it. The only issue that I have with the case overall is the power supply placement. And that just makes it difficult for me to change AIOs with it. So this wouldn't be something that I'd want to use as a heatsink test rig or an AIO test rig, because in reality, I would have to cut a new power supply mount down here just so that I could get it out of the way of the back of the case. Now, that's not going to make too much of a difference for you guys at home, but I feel the need to want to share my overall thoughts with you. And then at the end of the day, I don't think it will be a deal breaker for you, but it does mean that you have to fit your backplate to the motherboard before you fit it to the case. It's the only thing that you have to do. Otherwise, you've got to take the power supply out, move that out of the way so that you can get in there. It's not the end of the world, but for someone like me where time can be a very short constraint, I just need to get the muscle memory in place before I start building. But overall, a beautiful case, very beautiful case. I'm going to say it is the best case that BeQuiet have ever made. The build quality is there, the design is there, you've got orientation things that you can change to make it suit you better. The fans are just on point, but that's one of their strengths anyway. And I love the fact that they've kind of brought the lighting in to play a bigger role than they normally would have done, because BeQuiet were always the ones where they didn't do RGB for a while. This is perfect. You do need to remember that you can get it without the fans as well, like with the ARGB fans. If you don't want to, you can save yourself a bit of money. There are white models. I do have the white version, but because we ended up getting the black version and using it as a motherboard test rig, this is the one that I've used for the review today. But absolutely amazing case. Enthusiast award from me. And it was very borderline. I do mean very borderline. The fact that I almost gave it a white gold. And it was only the power supply that stopped it from getting it. So it did almost get the TTL award, which you don't get any higher than that. If the power supply had been further down, it would have got it. But overall, enthusiast award, enthusiast case. And I don't think it's too much of an enthusiast price tag either. You get an awful lot of case for your money. Congratulations, BeQuiet. I love it.